Ladies and gentlemen, people often ask me, Simon, what's the secret to success? What's the secret to becoming a great leader? And I tell them, it's not intensity, it's consistency. Let me tell you a story. There's a gym I used to go to, and there was this guy. He'd come in January 1st like clockwork. New gear, a brand, new water bottle, and all the energy in the world. Day 1, 2 hours, day 2, same thing. By day 5, he's exhausted, by February gone. Now contrast that with another guy I knew, showed up every day, same time, 20 minutes, nothing fancy, no selfies, no loud grunting, just steady, focused effort. A year later, different body, different mindset, same quiet rhythm. See, it's not what you do once that changes your life. It's what you do every single day that no one sees. We live in a world obsessed with big wins. Viral moments, rapid transformation, but leadership, trust, health, success. None of it works like that. You don't brush your teeth for 3 hours once a month and expect white teeth. You brush them every day, right? Same with relationships, same with leadership, same with self-growth. I believe great leaders aren't made in a moment. They're made in the moments that repeat, when you consistently show up for your people, when you consistently tell the truth, when you consistently act on your values even when no one is watching. That's when trust is built. That's when culture is created. That's when change becomes real. Anyone can do something great once, but can you do something small and right every day, because that's what builds legacy. So if you're chasing success, stop looking for the hack. Start looking for the habit. Consistency doesn't look flashy, but it's how anything worth building is actually built. One small thing, done well, repeated daily, that's how you change the world. Would you like a 6-keynote breakdown of this speech, or a version with hashtags and a description for posting on social media? We often get caught in the illusion of quick results. People expect to go to the gym once and wake up with abs, or deliver one inspiring speech and suddenly be seen as a great leader. That's not how it works. The truth is, anything meaningful in life, whether it's trust, love, health, or leadership, is built through consistency. It's not the grand gestures that define us. It's the small things we do repeatedly that shape our identity and our impact. When someone goes to the gym for one hard workout, nothing changes. But when they go every single day, even just for 20 minutes, something begins to shift. Not just in their body, but in their discipline, in their mindset. That's where growth begins. It doesn't happen in an instant. It happens slowly, quietly, through repeated effort. Consistency is what makes progress sustainable. I remember a man who came to the gym every day. He wasn't lifting the heaviest weights. He didn't have fancy gear. He didn't post selfies. But he was there every single day, same time. People didn't notice him. He was invisible to the casual observer. But over time, something remarkable happened. His posture changed, his energy shifted. A year later, he looked like a completely different person. Not because he did something dramatic, but because he stayed consistent. This is what so many of us miss. We think big change requires big effort, but the secret isn't intensity. It's repetition. It's the choice to show up even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. That's where character is built. That's where transformation happens. Leadership is no different. Great leaders don't earn trust by giving one good speech or hosting a single team building exercise. They earn trust by showing up again and again, day after day. They listen even when it's inconvenient. They offer support even when they're tired. They keep their promises even when no one would blame them for backing out. That's how teams are built. That's how culture is shaped. Not in a workshop, not in a mission statement, but in the consistency of how people treat each other every single day. People don't remember what you say once. They remember what you do consistently. If you want to be a leader others believe in, then live your values not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. We've all been seduced by the idea of the overnight success. We hear stories of someone who built a company in a year or transformed their life in 30 days. But what we don't see are the 10 years of invisible work that came before the breakthrough. The discipline, the failures, the consistency. Real change is slow. It's not dramatic. It's not always exciting. But it's real and it lasts. If we could shift our mindset away from outcomes and focus instead on the process, on doing the right things over and over again, we would find more peace, more meaning, and ironically, more success. Because consistency doesn't just build results, it builds character, it teaches us who we are. There's an old saying, you are what you repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This applies to everything. You don't get healthy by eating one salad. You don't become a great spouse by saying I love you once. You don't become trustworthy by telling the truth once. You become those things by doing them consistently, especially when it's inconvenient, when it's boring, when it's hard. That's the test, that's where the reward is. Consistency is hard because it requires patience. It asks us to believe in something we can't yet see. But those who stick with it, who keep showing up even when the results are invisible, they're the ones who win. Not just in the short term, but in life. And finally, the real value of consistency is this. It gives us the power to become. It allows us to evolve. We are not fixed. We are always becoming. And consistency is the vehicle that takes us there. Whether it's in our relationships, our careers, or our inner world, the small daily actions are the bricks with which we build the life we imagine. So instead of asking, what can I do today that will change everything? Maybe ask, what can I do today that I'm willing to repeat every day? That's where the power is. That's how trust is built. That's how leaders are made. One small thing, done well, repeated daily, that's the real secret. Let me know if you'd like this formatted as a document, turned into a video script, or posted with hashtags and a description. There was this man I used to see at the gym. He wasn't remarkable at first glance. He didn't come in yelling. He didn't slam weights or make a scene. He didn't even wear the latest athletic gear. But what made him different, what made him stand out, was that he came every single day. Same time, same corner of the gym, same rhythm, nothing flashy, nothing intense, and that's the point. He wasn't there to prove something in one day. He was building something slowly over time. You couldn't see the difference in a week. You might not even notice a change in a month, but give it a year, a complete transformation. He didn't just look different. He walked differently, talked differently. There was a quiet confidence in him. Not the kind you fake, but the kind you earn. We often ignore people like him because consistency is quiet. It doesn't grab headlines. It doesn't go viral, but it is always the underlying pattern of every lasting success. We are trained to admire the explosive, the intense, the massive leap. But the truth is, change doesn't usually come from a giant action. It comes from 100 small, deliberate ones. We want to be great today. But greatness doesn't come from what you do once. It comes from what you repeat when no one is watching. That man at the gym, he understood something that most people overlook. Results don't follow the first effort. They follow the compounded effect of many small efforts. The reason so many people give up is because they confuse absence of results with failure. They think, I did the work. Why don't I see the reward? But they miss that consistency has a delay. It takes time. It always takes time. You plant seeds, and for a while, nothing. You water, you wait, you care, and still nothing. And then suddenly, something begins to sprout. But it's only sudden to those who weren't watching. To those who were consistent, it's simply the harvest. They knew it was coming because they stayed long enough to earn it. And this is where most people fall off. They're waiting for motivation to carry them, but motivation is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes. It's emotional. What carries you forward when motivation dies is discipline. And discipline is rooted in consistency. The small daily choice to show up, to put in the reps. To trust the process, that's where everything changes, not all at once, but slowly, beautifully, over time. And eventually, the world sees what consistency quietly built in the dark. Leadership is often misunderstood. People think it's about titles, authority, charisma, the ability to rally a crowd with powerful words, but that's not what makes someone a great leader. Leadership is not a position, it's a behavior. It's not something you claim. It's something others grant you based on how consistently you show up for them. You don't earn trust by showing up once with a grand gesture. You earn trust through your behavior over time. Little things, repeated actions, and here's the thing about trust. It's not built in a moment. It's built in the moments that repeat. Think about a leader you deeply respect. It's probably not because they said the right thing once. It's because over time they made you feel seen. They listened when they didn't have to. They remembered what you said. They kept your confidence. They were reliable, predictable in the best way. That's what consistency looks like in leadership. It's not always glamorous. It's not always exciting, but it builds something incredibly powerful, a sense of safety. And where there is safety, there is trust. And where there is trust, teams thrive. Leadership is not tested when everything's going well. It's tested when things fall apart, when the pressure is high, when tempers flare. In those moments, people watch what you actually do, not what you say you value. And if your words and your actions don't align, people will always believe your actions. You can preach integrity, but if you lie once when it's inconvenient to be honest, people will notice. If you promise transparency but disappear during a crisis, people will remember. The thing about consistency is, it's what teaches people what to expect from you. If you show up with empathy every time, not just sometimes, people trust you. And when people trust you, they'll follow you. One of the greatest gifts a leader can give their team is predictability. It doesn't mean being robotic. It means your people know who's walking in the door today. They know what you stand for. They know how you'll react, not because you're fake or scripted, but because you're grounded. Reliable, consistent, that kind of leadership is rare, not because it's complicated, but because it's hard to maintain. It requires self-awareness, discipline, patience, but here's the upside. When you lead with consistency, people don't just work for you, they believe in you. And that belief is what turns a group of individuals into a real team. That's how culture is built, not in a keynote speech, not in a one-time retreat, but in everyday behavior. And the truly great leaders understand this. They know trust isn't given for showing up once. It's earned through showing up every day, the same way, especially when it's hard. We live in a culture that's obsessed with the overnight success story. The quick rise, the 10x growth, the miracle turnaround, and I get it. It's exciting, it's inspiring, but it's also misleading. Because when you peel back the curtain on almost every overnight success, what you actually find is years of quiet work. Years of late nights, years of no recognition, years of consistency. The breakthrough moment, that's just the moment the world noticed. The real success was built long before that. I met an entrepreneur who everyone thought blew up overnight. Investors were suddenly chasing him. Social media was buzzing, but when I sat with him, he smiled and said, "Funny how it took me 11 years to become an overnight success." What people didn't see were the countless rejections, the lonely work, the near collapse of his company more than once. But he kept showing up, he kept learning, kept adjusting, kept going. His consistency was invisible, but it was everything. This is what so many of us need to remember. Real success is slow, it doesn't shout. It whispers, it grows in the dark. And if you're not willing to be consistent when no one's watching, you'll never be ready when they are. Because consistency isn't just about results, it's about resilience. It's about who you become in the process. Anyone can do the work when it's fun, when there's applause, when there's attention. But can you do the work when there's silence, when there's no feedback? When you're not sure if it's working, that's the difference between those who dabble and those who commit. The ones who win long-term are the ones who find peace in the process. They've learned to love the repetition. They've made consistency their identity, not their strategy. They're not chasing motivation, they're living discipline, and because of that, they build something that lasts. The problem with chasing fast results is that it leads to burnout. It's unsustainable. You sprint, then collapse. But consistency is like a steady jog. It keeps you in motion, and over time, it gets you further than any sprint ever could. It's not flashy, but it's effective. That's how real businesses are built. That's how strong relationships are formed. That's how legacies are made. Not in a moment, but in the accumulation of many moments, repeated, patiently, faithfully. So if you're not seeing results yet, don't panic, Don't quit. Don't assume it's not working. Ask yourself this instead. Am I showing up every day? Am I repeating what works? Am I building habits I can sustain? Because if you are, then you're already succeeding. It just hasn't become visible yet, but it will. And when it does, it'll look like it happened suddenly, but you and I will know better. It wasn't sudden. It was consistent. There's a saying I often come back to. You are what you repeatedly do, and not what you do once in a while, not what you intend to do, but what you do again and again becomes who you are. That idea changes everything, because it shifts our focus from moments to patterns, from trying to be amazing once to trying to be consistent always. Think about it. You don't become healthy by eating one salad. You don't become wise by reading one book. You don't become loyal by telling the truth once. All those things, health, wisdom, trust, are the outcomes of repeated actions over time. It's who you become through consistent behavior. The truth is, consistency is boring, and that's why so many people avoid it. It doesn't have fireworks. There's no applause, no rush of emotion. It's not sexy, it's just steady, which makes it hard. Because we live in a world that chases excitement, novelty, peaks, but the things that truly matter, the things that last are built in the valleys, built in the quiet days, the ordinary days, the days where you don't feel like doing it, but you do it anyway. That's where your values become habits, and habits become identity. We underestimate how powerful small actions are when they're done with consistency. A 5-minute walk every day is more powerful than an hour-long workout once a month. Telling your partner, "I love you," every day carries more weight than a grand romantic gesture once a year. Leading a team with integrity every week means more than a big inspirational speech once a quarter. Because people trust patterns, not promises, and patterns only form through repetition. But here's where consistency really tests us. It demands patience. It asks us to believe in something before we see the result. It's planting seeds without knowing how big the tree will grow. That's hard, it's frustrating, but it's also freeing. Because once you fall in love with the process instead of the outcome, you stop chasing perfection. You start chasing alignment, and when your actions are aligned with your values every day, you're already successful, even before the results come. It's not about being perfect, it's about being reliable. Not every action will be amazing, not every effort will be noticed, but if you keep showing up, if you keep doing the right thing over and over again, you build something unshakable. Trust in yourself, trust from others, and that trust becomes the foundation for everything else. Consistency doesn't guarantee success tomorrow, but it does guarantee you're on the right path. And in the long run, it's the only path worth walking. Because in the end, the difference between the person you are and the person you want to be is what you choose to do every day. Let me know, and I'll continue with Keynote 6 when you're ready. There's something beautiful about the idea that we are not fixed. We are not bound to remain who we were yesterday. Every day we're becoming, not through big leaps, but through small steps. And the vehicle that carries us from where we are to where we want to be is consistency. It's not luck, it's not inspiration, it's not even talent. It's simply showing up again and again with intention. That's how we evolve, that's how we grow. The people who inspire us most didn't just stumble into greatness. They chose to repeat the right actions even when it was hard, even when it was thankless, even when no one noticed. Especially when no one noticed. When we embrace consistency, we stop asking, "What's the fastest way to success?" and start asking, "What am I willing to commit to every day?" That question changes everything, because speed is seductive, but sustainability is what actually builds legacy. Speed may get you attention, but consistency earns you respect. And respect, real, lasting respect, comes from being dependable, grounded, trustworthy. Not once, but always. When you make consistency a part of your identity, it changes how you move through the world. You stop chasing motivation because you've built rhythm. You stop waiting for the perfect time because you already know. The time is now, and it's always been now. You start to trust yourself more because you've seen what happens when you honor your commitments. You stop proving yourself to others because the quiet proof is in your patterns. And here's the most powerful part: consistency is not just about external success. It transforms how you feel about yourself. Every day that you keep your word, even in the smallest way, you send yourself a message: I can rely on me. That builds confidence, that builds character, that builds peace. You're not pulled in every direction by mood swings or outside opinions. You're rooted, grounded, clear, and people feel that, they're drawn to it, because consistency creates presence, it creates trust. It creates clarity in a world that's constantly shifting. So if you want to change your life, don't wait for a lightning bolt, don't wait for a perfect plan. Just pick one thing that matters and repeat it. Show up, do it again and again and again, because that one small thing, done with heart and discipline, becomes your foundation, and over time, that foundation becomes your character, and your character shapes your future. That's the truth most people overlook. The power to change your life is not in a moment. It's in what you choose to do. Daily, the small things, the right things, done well, repeated. That's where greatness lies. That's how you become